The Cobbled Classics form a unique part of the pro cycling calendar, and for many traditionalists is when the cycling season truly gets underway. Now, although there are other Cobbled races, the four most prestigious established classics are E3 Harelebeke and Gent-Wevelgem, and two of the five of cycling's monuments, the Tour of Flanders and Paris-Roubaix, all held over a 2-week period from the end of March to the beginning of April. Now, these races have had a long and rich heritage, the battles of which are fought out on the twisting rural roads and cobble climbs of Flanders in Belgium, the true heartland of these magnificent races, and the exposed, flat farm tracks and pavé of northern France. Let's have a closer look at the races which form a part of this mini-season within a season. E3 Harelebeke, previously known as Harelbeke Antwerp Harelbeke and E3 Paris-Roubaix, is one of the newest of the Cobbled Classics, the first edition taking place in 1958. Now, the race is traditionally held on the last weekend in March and heralds the start of Flemish Cycling Week, and is considered the final big warm-up race for the Tour of Flanders, as the course takes place on very similar roads, with around 17 cobbled climbs, including the Paterberg and the Olde Quaremont. In fact, E3 is known as the Little Tour of Flanders. Looking at the results, you can see why. Many winners of E3 have gone on to win the Ronde and Paris-Roubaix, including Jan Raas, Johan Museeuw and André Schmil, although it's Tom Boonens who holds the record for victories, with an incredible tally of 5, to add his 4 Roubaix and 3 Flanders titles. In 2012, it was given World Tour status, and now sits 2 days before Gent-Wevelgem on the calendar. Oh, and the name E3? Well, that's a reference to the former European route E03, a series of highways the race runs near to, not some obscure sponsor. And last year's winner was BMC's Greg van Avermaet. Nicknamed the Wind Classic and the Echelon Race, and it's worth checking out footage and photos of the 2015 edition just to see how windy this race can be, Gent-Wevelgem has an identity that has remained pretty much the same since its first edition in 1934, being a cobble classic more suited to the sprinters, although they don't always have it their own way, with echelons and cobble climbs to tackle, as well as monument-level distance of 250 kilometres. Now, for many years, the race fell between the Tour of Flanders and Paris-Roubaix before settling into a spot it now holds, a week before Flanders. The first 100 kilometres or so are held on the flat, exposed roads of Flanders' largest plain, where crosswinds and rain often batter the peloton, and includes a brief spell in northern France before hitting a series of 10 short climbs, including 2 ascents of the iconic Kemmelberg cobble climb, with its maximum gradients of 22%, once from each side. The second of which is the last hellingen of the day, before the technical descent and the 35-kilometre flat run to the line in Wevelgem. Now, since 2015, the race has been called Gent-Wevelgem in Flanders Fields, after the war poem by John McCrae, in commemoration of the 100th anniversary of World War I, as the race passes through the Westhoek region that saw some of the fiercest battles. Since 2012, a women's Gent-Wevelgem has been run on the same day as the men's race, over a 142-kilometre course with a similar parcours, with Lotte Lepisto running out last year's winner. The first of the big 2 cobble classics, the other being Paris-Roubaix of course, the Ronde is without doubt the most prestigious single-day race in Belgium, and to many, the world. The first edition, run in 1913, actually finished on a wooden velodrome just outside Ghent and covered 330 kilometres, taking 12 hours to complete, taking in as many Flemish towns and cities along the way in an effort to liberate the Flemish people, according to the organiser at the time, Karel van Wijndaele. The race itself is characterised by numerous short, steep and punishing cobble climbs, known as hellingen, many of which were added in the 1970s, in an effort to keep the race's unique character, after many of the original cobble climbs had been tarmacked over. This led the race deeper into the Flemish Ardennes, and saw the emergence of iconic climbs such as the Muur and the Koppenberg. The longest climb in the Ronde is the Olde Quaremont at 2,200 metres, and was first used in 1974, with the steepest climb being the Koppenberg, which rears up at 22% in places over its 600 metre length, and was tackled for the first time in 1976. This year's edition will have 18 climbs, the final savagely steep and often decisive climb being the Paterberg, with its 20% slopes, coming only 13 kilometres to go to the finish in Oudenaarde. It was first included in De Ronde in 1986, after its owner paved the entire climb in an attempt to get the race to pass by his house. Now, as you'd expect from one of the 5 monuments of cycling, the list of previous winners is a who's who of the legends of cycling. The most victories by a single rider in the race is 3, an accolade shared by 6 riders. Belgian Achille Boyce, Eric Lehmann, Johan Museeuw and Tom Boonens, Italian Fiorenzo Magni and Swiss rider Fabian Cancellara. Unsurprisingly, Belgium tops the list of wins by country with 69. There's been a women's Tour of Flanders held on the same day as the men's since 2004, and in 2016 it became part of the Women's World Tour, with last year's winner being American Corinne Rivera of Team Sunweb. Paris-Roubaix, or the Queen of the Classics, is the oldest of the Cobbled Classics, first held in 1896 and won by German rider Josef Fischer. It's one of 5 cycling monuments, and to many, the most prestigious. Now, contrary to popular belief, Paris-Roubaix didn't get its nickname Hell of the North due to the savage roughness of the cobbled terrain, although that would clearly seem to be appropriate. No, this was given following a route recon after World War I to check on how much of the course had survived the war. The devastated, battle-torn countryside was described as hell, and the name stuck, leading 1919 winner Henri Pélissier to state, "This wasn't a race, it was a pilgrimage." Paris-Roubaix is characterised by long, flat stretches of cobblestones, or pavé, in various states of disrepair, each sector being given a star rating by the organisers ASO to rank their severity, with the most iconic sectors being the infamous Forest of Arenberg and the Carrefour de l'Alpe. The cobbles here are at best described as savage and at worst career-threateningly dangerous. Now, this year's edition contains 29 sectors of cobblestones, including a new section at Saint-Hilaire, over the course of 257 kilometres. Roger De Vlaemincks and Tom Boonens share the most individual wins with 4, whilst the fastest ever edition was last year in 2017, where BMC's Greg van Avermaet won his first ever monument with an average speed of 45.2 kilometres an hour or 28.1 miles an hour. Only 12 riders have ever won both Paris-Roubaix and the Tour of Flanders in the same year, and only 2 riders have achieved that famous double on 2 occasions, the double-double. They are living legends Fabian Cancellara and Tom Boonens. Each have won Flanders 3 times, but Boonens has the edge on Spartacus in Roubaix with 4 wins to 3. So, who do you think will make their mark in the Cobble Classics this year? Leave your comments down below. And for a look at which bike is fastest over the cobbles, click here. It might be a bit of a surprise.